So what is up, guys? Nick here, helping you to master your technology. Welcome to the iPhone SE 2020 versus Google Pixel 4a full comparison. Now, we already did a speed test on these two where you can see how the Pixel 4a, the new kid on the block, performs next to the SE released a few months ago. But we'll begin by talking about the price. So for the iPhone SE 2020, the phone comes in at around a decent $399. The Pixel 4a starts at $349, so it's a cheaper phone than the iPhone SE. And keep in mind that the Pixel 4a offers 128 gigs to start at a cheaper price than the 64 gigs at a more premium price in the iPhone SE at $399. So let's talk about the key specs that matter before we go any further with these devices. Okay guys, so talking about the key specs with the iPhone SE, Apple A13 Bionic chipset, 3 gigabytes of RAM, 12 megapixel 4K 60p recording camera. Then over here for this device right here, we do have ourselves a 4.7 inch Retina display, and it does have True Tone on board. A little bit better than the iPhone 6 but pretty much a similar display right there. We also do have a Touch ID scanner on this one, and not a super large battery. We're looking at something around 1821 on this guy. So those are the key specs that matter there for the SE. Now over here for the Google Pixel 4a, you're looking at a 5.81 inch OLED display, over 400 ppi, and this one also does give you a single camera on the rear that's capable up to 4K at 30. This is a 12.2 megapixel Sony sensor on here, fingerprint scanner on the rear, Snapdragon 730G chipset, which is a little bit below some other chips in the Snapdragon line. Also, you do have yourself 6 gigs of RAM, which I'm very happy that was included here on this one. And this one has a sizable increase over the SE in the battery size to 3140 milliamp hours. Okay guys, so I want to talk about the body, the build, just kind of how they feel in the hand. So first of all, the iPhone SE does have a glass back, which enables Qi wireless charging, something the Pixel 4a doesn't allow. It does have an aluminum side around the edges here, and it's pretty premium feeling all around the board. Now, the Google Pixel 4a has a plastic feeling body, but it doesn't feel cheap. It feels like a solid plastic. Really, you have to hold this thing in your hand. It doesn't feel cheap. It feels pretty durable, to be honest with you. And I do like how the Google Pixel 4a is actually lighter than the iPhone SE at 143 grams. Even though it has a bigger display, the SE, because it's using glass, is a heavier device than the Google Pixel 4a. Now, the Google Pixel 4a, unfortunately, is thicker though. So if you want a thinner phone, you got to go with the SE. It's incredibly thin at 7.3 millimeters. What a thin device the SE 2020 is. Now, the Google Pixel 4a also doesn't have an IP67 rating like the iPhone SE, so you do get some dust and water rating there. The rest of the body's pretty nice. You can see at the bottom we do have a pretty annoying lightning port here for the SE, USB-C for the Google Pixel 4a, but I do like the holes. They're a little bit more precisely cut out there on the SE versus just these two slits on both sides for the Google Pixel 4a. Now, in terms of their camera bump, you can see that the Pixel 4a is just a little bit bigger. They definitely went with the more modern design trend of the square camera bump versus the SE's older look right there. And then on the top, you can see that the Google Pixel 4a does give you a headphone jack. SE does not give you that. That was taken out back on the iPhone 7. You can see silent switch here on the left, and we do have volume rockers, nothing on the Pixel 4a. And the 4a just has your volume rocker here and a nicely mint colored green. It's like a light mint colored green on this power button right here. Overall, both of these feel very clean, very nice for the price. They actually feel pretty similar to a phone that costs $300 more. So which one has the better fingerprint sensor? Well, this is the Touch ID scanner Apple's been using forever on the iPhone. Pretty similar sensor that Pixel's been using forever as well on their Google Pixel devices. Now, I find the Pixels to be a little bit faster than the iPhone SEs, but you know, the placement of the front is nice. When you have the phone on the table, you can just easily unlock it. So I like the placement of where the SE fingerprint sensor is a little bit more, but I do like how the Pixels is faster, and it's actually a pretty nice place as well. If you're just holding the phone upright, you can just easily unlock the device. So they're pretty equal and the fingerprint sensor. It just depends on which one you like more of the placement. So when it comes to displays, here's where the Google Pixel 4a is a definite winner. There's just no comparison here. The Google Pixel 4a has much higher resolution and a much more vibrant panel, and it's definitely noticeable side by side. And if you had an SE and you get the 4a, you're gonna see this thing right away. This looks like an $800 phone display. This one over here, yeah, it looks like they cut corners on the display, but you're getting wireless charging, you're getting, a premium body. So they cut those corners to get you this price point. But, the display is something you look at the most. And I do prefer the Pixel 4a's display over the iPhone SE 2020. You can definitely tell. Just look at the design. It looks more 2020, pretty much all screen there, versus these big bezels just looks outdated automatically. So you're getting a brand new outdated design on the iPhone SE if you decide to pick this phone up, but you get blazing fast performance. We'll talk about that later. With the Pixel 4a, you're not cutting any corners on that display. It looks fantastic and it gets plenty bright. Although I found that the brightness, the usable brightness, especially when indoors, seems a little bit brighter on the iPhone SE 2020. And where the Pixel 4a's better display will matter the most is when you're watching a YouTube video in landscape. So you can see right here, what's nice about the iPhone SE though is that it's 16:9, so there's really no black bars ever on video unless the creator has put the video in a format that's not 16:9, then you will get black bars on this phone, but a lot of times you won't. Now over here for the Pixel 4a, you will have to pinch to get the whole screen, but this is where the Pixel 4a is just a much better experience. You get basically a whole screen in your hand here, and when you're playing games, watching movies, watching videos. So definitely you're gonna wanna pick up the 4a if you care more about your media experience on your device. Now, talking about the software versions, you do get the latest versions, official versions when you buy these devices, and what's key about both of these is that they both do give you software support for a very long time. The SE will probably outlast the Pixel in software support, but not by so much. I mean, by the time the Pixel is out of support, you'll probably want a different phone by then anyway. So both of these are going to offer fantastic support here. But I will say at this point, it's really down to you like the Google experience, the Android experience, or do you like the Apple experience? You might even like both and pick up both these devices. Who knows? But the deal is this. They're both fantastic. They're basically the two best operating systems in the world, and you're gonna be happy either way, especially if you know what you're getting into. So if you really want iOS, don't be fooled by the Pixel. You're gonna want the SE. If you really want Android, or you really want good hardware and you can live with Android, you'll probably like the 4a a bit better. And that naturally leads us into performance. Now go check out my speed test between both of these I just did like yesterday. You'll see me compare the applications, how fast they open things. It's safe to say that the Pixel 4a, do not be fooled by its Snapdragon 730G. It performs just fine, great optimization on this phone for practical everyday use. You're not even gonna notice you're using a mid-ranger device here. You will notice if you've seen 120 Hertz displays on both of these that they're not the smoothest displays out there. Although I find the display when just scrolling through, well, mostly the software, to just be a little bit smoother here for the SE. But at the same time, the Google Pixel 4a performs better than its chipset would say. The iPhone SE has the Boss chipset in here. So this is what you're paying the extra for, the Apple A13. It is a monster performer in the iPhone SE versus the Pixel, where you're getting a well-optimized chip for the phone, but you're not getting a monster performing chip in this device. So keep that in mind. But one thing that's disappointing about the SE is 3 GB of RAM. I have many times seen the app just close because there's not enough RAM to hold the application in the background. I expect this to happen less for the Pixel with its 6 GB of RAM on board. Okay, so when it comes to the cameras, both of these have fantastic cameras. One quick note, the iPhone SE has a better flash, quad LED versus just a regular LED flash here for the Pixel. However, keep in mind that both of these are pretty similar size sensors, 12 megapixel, 12.2. On the front camera here for the iPhone SE, it's definitely not quite as good as the Pixel. The iPhone SE giving you a 7 megapixel, the Pixel giving you an 8 megapixel sensor on the front. Now what you'll notice with both these cameras is that they're pretty much neck and neck. You have portrait modes on both, you have panoramic modes on both as well. There's your panorama right there. You have video mode, obviously. The SE does better video at 4K 60, and it definitely looks a little bit more natural. So if you want the better video performance, get the SE here. But if you want the better photo performance, I think the Pixel has it beat. One thing I will say though is that the Pixel takes a second to process the photo sometimes, but I did take quite a few samples. So if you guys want to go ahead and take a look, I'll show you those in just a second. Overall, I do like how the Google Pixel does include night sight. You don't get a night mode on the iPhone SE. That's a sacrifice you have to make to get the better video performance on here, but at least you get some of those pro features like you get on the iPhone 11 Pro, like putting in 16:9, going to the 4:3. You get quite a few of the niceties that you get with the 11 Pro, but the Pixel is just fire and shoot, let it do its AI stuff and give you a fantastic result. I'm gonna go ahead and show you some side-by-side samples I took with both of these, and you could decide for yourself which camera is better. When it comes to those front-facing shooters, they do have great cameras as well. I found the portrait mode was actually crashing on the Pixel 4a. We need an update for that one. But both of them do pretty well in pretty much every circumstance for just having single cameras on both front and rear. Take a look at these samples. And here is some front-facing video with the Google Pixel 4a, and this is kind of like the video you can expect from the front of this phone. Not bad for $349.99. And so here is some front-facing video with the iPhone SE 2020, and the audio is coming directly from the phone itself. This is what you can expect from this phone right here. Okay guys, so this is a walking test with the Google Pixel 4a. You can kind of see how it does look in comparison to the iPhone SE in the 4K 30 video. Pretty stable overall, not bad for 350 bucks. Okay guys, so here is the iPhone SE in the 4K 30 video. You can kind of see how it does look when walking. Overall, not bad for 399 bucks. On the iPhone SE 2020. Okay, so which one has the better battery life? Well, I found them to get through the day. Both of these can get through the day with practical, everyday, normal use on these devices. However, I found the standby time to be better on the iPhone SE 2020, but in actual usage, I got longer battery life on the Pixel 4a. Bigger battery, I mean a lot bigger, almost twice the size of the iPhone SE 2020's battery life. I just got better battery life on this phone. So if you're looking for the better battery performer, you're probably gonna want the Google Pixel 4a amongst these two. Okay, so let's have a listen to their speakers. And then over here on the Pixel,
So what is up, guys?
so both have stereo speakers, one on the bottom, one on the top, one on the bottom, one on the top. The Pixels get louder than the iPhone SE, but the SE sounds a little bit more clear. So it gets a little bit tinny on the Pixel at the max volume, but it is louder. So both of these do not skimp out on the speakers. They don't like make you sacrifice with audio quality on the speakers. But keep in mind one thing about the Pixel 4a, it does have Bluetooth 5.1, but no Wi-Fi 6. This one has Bluetooth 5.0, but it does have Wi-Fi 6. So from connectivity standpoint, there are differences between both of them. Again, though, with the audio, you do have the included headphone jack, which is always nice. And one thing that is different about both of these is that the Pixel 4a does come with a much larger charger. The iPhone SE's charger almost looks comical next to this one in the box. 18-watt fast charger, 5-watt here for the SE. So you got to pay extra to get the fast charging on the SE. You might already have one from your other Apple products, but still, it's nice that Google includes the fast charger right in the box. However, one thing that's a bit better about the SE is that it comes in 3 different colors to suit your needs a little bit better. You have the red color, you also have the white and the black. Over here for the Google Pixel 4a, it's just black, and that's the name of the color, just black. So in conclusion, I think it's clear to say that there's no clear winner here between both of them, but they both offer you a fantastic option that doesn't bend you over backwards to get a really nice device in 2020. Now, you're gonna lack 4K 60 for the Pixel 4a, but you do get, I think, a better camera when it comes to just photography. Now, in the SE, you do get a better build quality, I think, than the Google Pixel 4a in terms of just feeling premium, but you get a durable, practical plastic design that's not gonna crack if you drop it. In my opinion, I think the Pixel 4a feels more modern, and I think for the money, it's a better value than the SE, giving you more storage, a more modern design, better battery life, better photography. But the iPhone SE over here on the left is an excellent option for a cheap Apple device on the left as well here. So either way you go, you're gonna be pretty happy here. So let me know if you're gonna pick either of these up, the iPhone SE or the Pixel 4a, down below in the comments section of this video. Thumbs up if you enjoyed it, subscribe if you haven't already. Nick here, helping you to master your technology. Be sure to be well, and peace.